Something that I'm noticing is that the so-called kind of goddess, mother-loving, spiritual influencer people that aren't speaking about the genocide in Palestine, they tend to have a very polarized identity in terms of how they present themselves. So they'll either be very light and love, like, I'm just the cutesy, gooey, sweetheart of a spiritual person that is always this cutesiness. Or they'll be like that raunchy kind of, I'm a dark goddess. I'm so dark and sexy. I'm all about the sex. I'm all about my sensuality. Every single picture. So both scenarios are a actual massacre of the feminine, or it's a massacre of the true nature of the mother. She is diversity, right? And the patriarchal colonizing problem is the single story. It's the monotheism, the mono story, right? So it's the branding of self, the packaging of self, the presentation of self, the boxing of self, the graying out of the self into one single story. The single story or the single identity or the single personification of self is colonialism. The mother is diversity. So I love and trust women who say they're spiritual leaders and mother carriers that are real in their expression. They are authentically alive in the moment, and that might shift and change because the mother has 9 archetypes, right? So if I see a single archetype emanating out of a person because they're trying to brand themselves or they're trying to be like, constantly present in a certain way, then I understand that they're actually in polarization. They're actually in a polarized false identity. They don't actually know integration. They can't know because of the way they're presenting themselves. It's just obvious in the presentation. So it's very interesting to note that the people with this kind of boxed, branded identity, the single representation of self, I always show up in this way, they're not really vocal for real Indigenous causes. They're not really brave. Why would they be? Because they're so afraid to even be themselves. That's why they've boxed themselves into a single narrative. And the Eve, good girl, light and love girls have a rejected dark goddess, and the dark goddess, totally all the time girls, have a rejected light goddess. Yeah, so just break out of, smash the construct, be the diversity of the mother.